We started using Process 10 years ago and they worked so well for us. So when we were looking at expanding the business, putting new pools in, Process Instruments were our go-to company. Water quality is really important to us. You want it to be that kind of crystal clear, sparkling blue colour. You want to keep it so it's any chemical is as unnoticeable as possible. You want to keep your chemicals at the bare minimum that you need to maintain that water clarity, that water cleanliness. We operate a 5-star spa here. We can't have that swimming pool smell when people are coming for a nice relaxing spa day, or if they're celebrating a special occasion. You don't want them coming and saying, oh well, it was really lovely, but do you know that pool water made my eyes itch? You don't want them to notice anything about the pools other than how clear the water is. We do the regular pool checks every 2-3 hours to make sure that our analysers are working properly, reading properly. We're getting exactly the same results from manual test as you would from one of the analysers. The system that we had previously 10 years ago, we found we were having to recalibrate the settings on a more regular basis. We were having to clean sensors on a more regular basis. There was a bit too much variance between what we were getting when we were testing manually as opposed to what the dosing panels were telling us. We were looking at a different system to come in. So we had a look at the Process Instruments one, and I think we had it fitted on one pool initially, and we found that we weren't having to calibrate every time we went down to the plant rooms. The results were almost identical to the manual tests that we were doing, and just the maintenance on it was so much easier to do, and we've never looked back. It's a really good system, it's really easy to use, it's really user friendly, and it does exactly what we want it to do. Your bather load can go from maybe half a dozen people to like 40 if there's an aqua class on. So obviously if you've got all those people getting in the pool at once, that's going to have an impact on your chlorine levels. So you want a system that's going to read that and react immediately to it, and either put in enough chlorine so it'll cope with those 40 people, and then obviously when they all get out and everything calms down, you want it to cut right back to what it will handle for maybe 6 people. And the same with the pH. You don't want your pH to be either too high or too low. So you can go into the plant room at any time, look at the dosing panels, and it will give you a reading for your free chlorine, your pH, in some cases your total chlorine. So you can see at a glance what the pool's doing at that time. We have chlorine probes and we have pH probes which work independently of each other, although the analyzer reads them both and can tell each independent pump system whether we need more chlorine, whether we need more pH. So each thing is being monitored separately within the one unit, which gives us really great control of the water quality. Before we had the variable speed drives fitted, the pumps were running at full speed 24/7. So there was a lot of draw on power. So when we were looking at being a bit more eco-friendly, we had the drives fitted. So they only work as hard as they need to work. So at night time, they go back to like a baseline where there's nothing being introduced to the pool. So it saves money because you don't need that pool on power, you don't need them running full speed all the time. But if you get like a high bather load, if you've got an aqua class getting in and your chlorine takes that dip, if it dips sufficiently, the drives will kick in and boost it so it gets back to the level you want it to be. So you're not getting dips and troughs in your readings. You want it like sort of almost flat line, if you will. Since we've been using the process analyzers, we are saving money on power. We're saving money on chemicals because we don't need as much chlorine, because the system is a smarter system and it's just monitoring all the time. As technology progresses, things change on a regular basis, and we can rely on process to help us make those changes and either give us the equipment or the know-how to make the changes that we need to keep the water the way we want it to be and the way our customers want it to be.